Dr. Matthias Inniger, his promoter was Professor Dr. Byron Evans and co-promoter Professor Koos Foster. The title of his thesis, A Theological Ethical Evaluation of the Christian-Muslim Dialogue in the Swiss Army Chaplaincy. Matthias Inniger was born in Cameroon. He grew up in Switzerland, where he lives with his wife Sabina and 4 adult children. During his ministry, he contributed to interreligious dialogue in a variety of contexts, and as a Swiss Army chaplain, he had contact with people of different faiths. Foreign deployments in the Balkans as a military chaplain inspired him to undertake academic research into Christian-Muslim dialogue in the military context. With his role as governmental advisor, Matthias Inniger is responsible for regional planner for the Emmental and Thun areas of the Reformed Church Baron Jura Solothurn. Really looking forward to this.
Dear Dean, dear professors, dear colleagues, dear ladies and gentlemen, this research I've done in cooperation of Northwest University and Graduate School of Theology. This was a very good experience for me, this cooperation. I'm glad to have the opportunity of outlining some key findings of my thesis on the occasion of this celebration. My thesis deals with Christian-Muslim dialogue in the Swiss Army Chaplaincy. 50 years ago, there was no Christian-Muslim dialogue in the Swiss Army Chaplaincy because there were no Muslim soldiers at all in Switzerland. The religious landscape of Switzerland was dominated by the churches recognized by the state, with 94% of the population belonging to the Catholic or to the Protestant state church. The very small Jewish community belonged to these 5% of religious communities which were not recognized by the state, together with the free churches, the Anglican, Lutheran, and the Orthodox churches. However, the demographic picture of Switzerland has always been reflected in the Swiss armed forces because military service still is compulsory for all Swiss young men. In former times, it was therefore clear that the majority of soldiers were Christians, and therefore it was clear that the chaplains were Christians as well. Catholic priests and Protestant pastors of the Swiss state churches have fulfilled, and they still fulfill, the task of the Swiss Army Chaplaincy. Today, 2 demographic trends can be observed in Switzerland, not only in Switzerland. First, many people, especially young people, have renounced their membership in the state church. Second, religious diversity is increasing based on migration and based on the needed workforce from other countries. These trends are significantly noticeable among young people in the Swiss Army. There are military training schools with 10% Protestants and 10% Muslims. And the chaplains still all are Christians. Because Christian-Muslim dialogue even today does not yet exist in the Swiss Army Chaplaincy. I traveled to Geneva on 11th March 2012, where I met Professor Forster of West University. I wanted to discuss with him the following questions regarding my thesis. First question, can Christian chaplains care for Muslim soldiers? Would Christian, Muslim and interreligious cooperation in the Swiss Army chaplaincy correspond with Swiss Protestant principles regarding Christian, Muslim and interreligious dialogue? And how do other armies operate with the multi-faith chaplaincy? And how could one recommend the Swiss Army a care concept which is more inclusive, which is multi-faith oriented? Can Christian chaplains care for Muslim soldiers? I did this many times. An extended evaluation in my dissertation among 55 participants, mostly among Muslim soldiers, has made it clear that, in fact, Christian chaplains can care for Muslim soldiers regarding general day-to-day issues. However, the evaluation has made clear as well that in specific situations, faith-specific chaplains are necessary. These situations are, for example, if a Muslim soldier is mourning the loss of a loved one, or if a Muslim soldier has an accident in the army, or if specific questions regarding religious practice occur. Moreover, the evaluation made clear that it would be a sign of respect to include all major religions in the chaplain's team in the same way as in other national armies. The evaluation shows that this would help Muslims, young Muslims in Switzerland, to identify with the army, with the Swiss Federation, and with the whole of society. And this would relevantly contribute to religious peace in Switzerland. Would Christian, Muslim and interreligious cooperation in the Swiss Army chaplaincy correspond with Swiss Protestant principles regarding Christian, Muslim and interreligious dialogue? The elaboration of Swiss Protestant theological ethical principles regarding Christian, Muslim and interreligious dialogue has made it apparent for Protestants that for Protestants dialogue and cooperation with Muslims is possible in a multi-faith chaplaincy. It's a form of cooperation. The affirmation of the importance of interreligious dialogue is given in Swiss Protestantism based on faith, God's unconditional and universal grace. Swiss Protestant churches emphasize, moreover, human commonalities between all people based on the concept of imago Dei. Further important dialogue principles are based on biblical teaching, respect, empowerment, and building bridges. Christian, Muslim, and interreligious dialogue is possible as well for me as a Protestant chaplain because dialogue does not blur the borders of one's own faith. Rather, dialogue shapes one's own faith profile. How do other armies operate with the multi-faith chaplaincy? I have visited nice journeys through Europe. I've visited other army chaplaincies, for example, in Austria, Germany, Norway, Sweden, and in Denmark. My thesis concentrates on three multi-faith oriented army chaplaincies. For example, on the chaplaincy of Bosnia and Herzegovina, which I know very well from 4 years of foreign deployment in Balkans. This chaplaincy where the Muslim, Orthodox, and the Catholic chief chaplain sit after the war they had together, sit at the same table in order to organize together the chaplaincy of their armed forces. Canada is well known for its strong commitment to diversity management. Therefore, many Christian denominations and different religions, for example, Muslims and Jews, are involved in the chaplaincy of the Canadian forces. And in the Netherlands, they have Catholic, Protestant, Muslim, Jewish, and Hindu chaplains, and since 1964, almost a third of the chaplains are humanistic corps, humanistic chaplains. It's a very interesting phenomenon, but not for tonight. And the last main question was, how could one recommend to the Swiss Army care concept which is multi-faith oriented? Only brief, the Swiss Army chaplaincy should make it possible to involve qualified non-Christian chaplains as well. And I recommend that the Swiss Army chaplaincy adopts as its role model the parable of the Good Samaritan when caring for soldiers. This parable mirrors best the situation of an army chaplaincy where a human-to-human service is essential. To conclude, in a multi-faith oriented chaplaincy, I will not be a multi-faith chaplain, but I will always remain a Protestant, a Christian chaplain. Permit me to give finally an example for this. Even if I do not preach the resurrection of Christ in the secular context of this chaplaincy, as I do on a Sunday morning in church, belief in Easter is always my motivation as a Protestant chaplain in a multi-faith chaplaincy as well. Every soldier must be aware that I am a Christian and that I believe in the resurrection of Christ. If, however, a desperate soldier comes to me, I advise him not by preaching the story of Easter, but by trusting that God can lead this soldier from the darkness of Good Friday to the light of Easter. This is my hope and this is my prayer. The soldier, whether he is Christian, atheist or Muslim, will feel that this hope will always remain the motivation for my service in the chaplaincy. Thank you for your attention.
Dr. Inniger, once again, for a very interesting talk, very interesting research that you have done, very relevant in our interfaith or interreligion communities where we are living in, and also in Europe, I think, these days, pretty much so, with what's going on there. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
For your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.